Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. Finally, we are back to our usual night. And just as we're getting back to our normal schedule, we are about to mix it all up and make it different. But a little bit more about that later. So, in the meantime, we will be making a snowflake. And I call these my shimmering snowflakes. So this is what they look like. And if you've never seen one of them, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, I don't remember seeing a form that looks quite like this because, of course, by now we're all familiar with the 6-point snowflake form, or the 6-arm, or 6-ray, however we want to describe it. So, in fact, a form like this does not exist. So what we are about to do is take 2 snowflake forms, one slightly larger, one slightly smaller, and we're going to put them together like so. And believe it or not, this is actually a very simple thing to do. Once you see me do it, you will just have a little aha moment, and you will want to make like a schmillion of these. So let's get started, shall we? Well, actually, before we get started, I'm going to show you the 6 different colors of snowflakes that I have for your viewing pleasure. Okay, ladies, so we have vintage gold, which is right here, front and center. So this is vintage gold.
Kimar says hello.
Hi, Kim, and thanks for joining me. Wait, is it Kimar that you're having difficulties tracking down?
No. We'll resolve all that
you
stuff.
guys,
Yeah.
okay. I was going to say something about your email not working, but it's all good. Isn't it nice when things are resolved? It's awesome.
Trudy says hi, everyone.
Hi, Trudy, and so nice to hear from you. Okay, ladies, so moving right along, right next to the vintage gold, we have Galactic Glacier Blue. This is kind of like glacier blue, but more metallic and darker. It just looks like a galaxy, so I called it galactic. Then we have ice crystals, which of course is pretty self-explanatory. And Caribbean blue. This reminds me of just being in the Caribbean or being in Hawaii. And you know, when you are in a place like that over the holidays, the trees are decorated completely differently. So this just reminds me, generally, like if we happen to be in Hawaii for the holidays, you see a lot of shells and just different colors on the Christmas tree. And then we have silver snow right here. And finally, Santa's sleigh. So at least that is what I imagine Santa's sleigh looking like, at least color-wise.
Althea says hi, friends.
Hi, Althea. Thanks for joining us.
Jeline says hello.
Hello, Jeline.
Allie says hi, can't wait to see this and the replays from earlier this week.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad you joined, Allie. And yes, of course, you can watch the replays from earlier this week. I do have just a few icicles, not all of the icicles from last night, but this is one of the icicles from last night, and here's another icicle from last night, from Wednesday demo. And of course, my new Christmas spiders have already gone out into the store, and they're hanging out with their little spider friends, Christmas spider friends, that is. And if there's anybody watching and you've never heard of Christmas spiders, well, then you just have to re-watch the Tuesday video, and you will learn all about Christmas spiders and how they created tinsel. So, so now that we have looked at all of the different colors, let's get started, shall we? Okay, ladies, so I am just going to leave this silver snowflake on my desk because that is what we're going to, well, at least we're going to get started on this one. And then, oh, and you know what? I have misplaced, okay. All is good, ladies. I have just found my beads. Okay, so here are some of my beads that I'll be using. Of course, generally you need a lot more for a snowflake, but I just have a few just for us to be able to get started. And then perhaps there'll be some type of magic, and we will do the next few steps. You guys know how that works. So as I was saying, it takes 2 snowflake forms to create a really full, very, very shimmery snowflake. So I have a form that is 3 1/4 inches, and then the larger form right here is 4 1/2 inches. And we are going to bead each form separately. And I'm only going to remind you how memory wire works because it's never my assumption that you have watched the previous videos. So, because these videos serve as my directions for all of the kits, I'm just going to remind you right away. Please do not use your good cutters on your snowflake forms because your snowflake form is in fact made out of memory wire, which is a very, very hard steel wire. So we are not going to need to use a cutter on this at all. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to string 4 of these little 11O seed beads onto one of the snowflake arms. So just 4 little seed beads. And for this particular snowflake, I'm looking at the shorter of the arms, so clearly every other one is going to be shorter, and then every other one in between them is going to be longer. So I'm starting out with a shorter snowflake, and we are simply going to string this same pattern. And so we're going to string this little olive bead, and then a seed, oh, actually no, there's no seed bead. So we're going to very closely follow the pattern, and a little bit more about that in a moment. So next it looks like, you know what, I am missing 1 bead actually, but luckily I have everything that it takes to make the snowflake right here next to me. So, oh, you know what? Okay, I confused myself just a little bit. It happens. So I'm just going to point out that the bicone I grabbed actually goes into the longer pattern. So I can't actually rewind, but just rewind in your mind. So I have my olive bead, and then I have a cathedral bead, and finally a teardrop, a large teardrop. And so this is the entire pattern, and every one of the arms is going to be exactly the same. This is what it looks like. So I'm not going to make the entire snowflake right now, but What I normally do is once I string all of the beads that go on the specific arm, I will make a 90-degree angle. And this is what I'm going to point out right away. So when you do this, please leave about 3 millimeters between the bead and your tool. So whichever tool you're using, maybe you're using a flat nose pliers or maybe you're using a chain nose pliers. Those are your two options for tools. So we'll make sure that we leave about 3 millimeters between the bead and the tool. So there are two reasons for this. Number one is we are making sure that our bead is going to stay intact. Because if we get really, really close to the bead and then start to bend the wire, of course the bead will break. So those 3 millimeters are helpful. But there's actually even a more practical reason for leaving quite this much. At a point where we're putting the two snowflakes together to make that really, really full shimmering snowflake, we're going to use wire, and the wire is going to go in between the seed beads. You can't really see a whole lot of the wire. I mean, if you really, really look in between the beads, you really have to look for it, then you might see a little bit of the wire peeking out. But that is really the only way to do this, and we need to have a little bit of space for that wire. So we are going to leave those 3 millimeters and make a 90-degree angle. As you bend the wire to make that 90-degree angle, please make sure that you're not bending it against the bead, but rather make it a point to kind of almost push in the opposite direction as you're bending the wire, so that you are not putting stress on the bead. I'm hoping that made sense. Okay, so once we make that little 90-degree angle, we're going to make a loop. And when I make these, I will make all the angles and then I wait until I have all 6 of them made, and then I will just make my loops all at the same time. So I'm using my round nose pliers to make the loop, and you guys have seen this many, many times when we make snowflakes. Sometimes when we, in fact, not sometimes, but all the time when we make icicles. When you're working with memory wire, it's very difficult to close the loop just by using a round nose pliers. So I find that the most practical way to do this is using our crimper. And of course, as you know, I'm sure you guys have used the crimper many, many times. So as you know, there are 2 openings in our crimping pliers. There's the opening that is the closest to the nose, and that's the oval opening. And then there's the opening that is closest to me and furthest away from the nose, and that looks like a kidney bean, and we're not using that opening today. So we're using the oval opening, and we are just going to grab our lovely loop and give it a little smushy in a very gentle and loving way. What I'm saying is don't squeeze it too hard, because when you're using a crimper, it's just too easy to collapse the loop. Again, it's not going to really ruin anything, but your loop might get, you know, a little wonky. Okay, so what we are going to do is exactly the same with all 6 legs. And then we will also do the same with all 6 legs on the larger snowflake. except that the pattern is going to be slightly different because of course each leg is a little bit longer. So on some of the snowflakes, you're going to have a different bead on the longer legs. On some of the snowflakes, you will simply have more beads. So you are probably wondering, how are we going to know the pattern on each one? So I'm going to tell you right after I clean up these little seed beads. So the pattern, as I mentioned, is going to be different for each snowflake. So what we're going to do, when you receive your kits, you're going to have a picture that literally looks like this. We were going to print out a picture and somehow we forgot to, but this is your heads up. This is what your kit is going to have in it, is a picture of both sizes of snowflake before they're put together. And this way, it's very, very easy for you to follow the pattern on each one. Okay, so through the magic of Facebook Live, not only are both of our snowflake forms beaded, but magically they changed color. How does that even happen? It's magic, I tell you. Okay, so, sometimes I just amuse myself, and that's good. So now we're going to put our snowflakes together with a little segments of 26 gauge wire. So you're going to get a length of wire, and it's going to be in a little circle like this, and here we go. I just unwound it, so now we can put the snowflake together. So what we're going to do, it doesn't really matter which one is on top, which one is on the bottom, which snowflake you start with. I happen to grab the smaller one, so we'll just start with this one. So what I'm going to do is maybe an inch or two from the end of the wire. You have plenty of wire, so please don't stress about having enough. So I'm using the 26 gauge wire to go in between the third and the fourth bead. So I'm going in between the third and the fourth bead. And I'm just going to go once around the wire, essentially making a little coil. Okay, so there's my coil. You can see it's just kind of dangling right there. And again, it's in between the second and third bead. So now I'm going to go, actually, I'm going to add the larger snowflake. And you see how I'm just putting it on top of, I'm putting the smaller one on top of the larger one, but again, it doesn't matter what is on top, what is on the bottom. The only thing that matters is that every time we make a little coil with our 26 gauge wire, it's going to always go between the second and third bead. And the other thing that matters, and okay, so this is, I think on the first couple, you just kind of have to get in there. So the other thing that kind of matters is the spacing. So what I'm really trying to do is position the two snowflakes so that all of the spaces are fairly similar. Okay, so now I'm still holding on to the snowflake pretty firmly, just holding it between my fingers. But after a few of the coils, you will find that it's just sort of holding itself in place, and it becomes very, very simple.
Fauna says, good evening, everyone. Joining late.
Hi, Fonda. Better late than never. I'm so glad you joined.
Lori says, good evening, Irina and Tony, and sends all kinds of winter emojis, including a frigid one.
Hi, Lori. Thank you for all the winter emojis. We had our first taste of the really cold winter yesterday, and oh my gosh, we had this little blizzard that went on maybe for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. And it was so, oh, I don't know, it was so stormy looking. It was like watching a winter storm. It was beautiful, but also I'd rather not see it. So you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going in between the second and third bead, and I'm just making one little coil, and that is all we have to do for now. And we are going to go around every little rung until the entire snowflake is connected. And so now I am just going to separate where I have my wire. So I have this little length of wire, and I just realized that I may have said you need to leave about, what did I say? What I meant to say is leave at least 2 inches of wire coming out of the very beginning when we start the snowflake.
I think that's what you said.
I think that's what I said. Okay. So now we are going to introduce our preset rivolis. And the preset rivolis come in this little binding, and they're set really, really well. However, the little, what do you call these? The prongs. Yes, so the little prongs may be sticking up just a little bit. So if it bothers you, we are just going to take our chain nose pliers and push them down. I like doing this just not because it's going to fall out, but just because I don't like to feel those prongs as I work with the preset rivoli.
Allie says the cold was not fun this morning. Indoor recess for the rest of the week.
Oh my goodness, Allie, I agree. Oh my gosh, it's so cold. It is, wow, I don't even know. I really question why human beings live in this climate when it's like this. You know, I absolutely love Wisconsin in every season but winter. Okay, ladies, so my 2 wire ends are separated right now, meaning there's 1 rung in between. So the 2 sets of, or the 2 wire ends are separated by about 6 millimeters, which is this space right here in between those little holes. So what we're going to do is string one end of the wire through one of the openings, string the other end of the wire through the other opening, and because it's sort of hollow on the inside, you kind of just need to look for that little opening. And here we go. So now we're going to position our rivoli. So there's our rivoli. And just make sure that it's nice and centered. And you can see I'm really handling this snowflake. And it is so sturdy at this point. It's really just You know, don't worry, it's not going to come apart. Just that little weave in between all the wires, that's really all we need. So I centered my Rivoli, and now I'm going to take one of the ends, again, bring it in between the two beads, two of the same beads, meaning the second and the third seed bead. I have to kind of force it in there. I may need to use my pliers, which I'm trying to avoid because, you know, when you're working with fairly fine wire, your most gentle tools are your fingers. So I try not to use my tools a whole lot. And there we go. So I just brought it in between the same two beads and made a single coil. And I will do the same with the remaining wire. And you know what? I guess it's been so long since I made my samples. It's been like a whole week. So I forgot. So I am just remembering this as I go. It's actually better to leave about maybe 4 inches as you start. 2 inches will work. I'm sure I'll be able to finish this snowflake, but just to make it a little bit easier, maybe start at about 4 inches. Still not in the center because you're only working with one end as you go around. Okay, so now we have our Rivoli on one side, and we're going to flip our snowflake over. This is what it looks like.
Karen says hello.
Hi, Karen, and thank you for joining us. And and I didn't tell you guys, and we had this little snowstorm. That was I would say that was our first real snow of the year last night, or actually it was in the afternoon. Tony is shaking his head. He's saying, no, it wasn't our first snowfall of the year. But you know what? It was the first significant snowstorm of the year. So I am doing the same thing on this other side. I am just going through the opening. And again, it's hollow inside. So we'll just have to poke around in there until our wire comes through, which it just did. And again, I'm going to center my snowflake. Okay, so right now it's just kind of sitting there. It still moves. So get it to a good place where you feel it's centered. And we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. And I am going to use my chain nose pliers, but very carefully. And again, I am just pushing the wire into that same little opening between the two beads. And this time, we're kind of done with our wire at this point. So we're just going to go around a couple of times in order to anchor the wire really, really well. And I will do the same thing with the other wire end.
This came in after Karen said hello. Karen says, good evening. Been watching, forgot to say hello.
Oh, well, hello again. And happy Thursday, happy holidays, and happy Snowflake Day to Karen and everyone.
Lori says, this is beautiful.
Thank you so much, Lori. Okay, so you guys saw I coiled a couple of times around. Again, same spot. Remember how we reserved that little space for our wire? Well, that's why we needed that little space. So now that we wrapped the wire into our little teeny tiny space between the second and the third bead, we no longer need the rest of the wire. So I am cutting off all the excess wire. And And now we're just going to tuck it in. And just to be super, super clear, on that last coil, I went around twice. So, you know what? I lost one of my wire ends. I guess I cut so close, I can't even find it. So it's generally a good idea to tuck it in, but I suppose if you can't find it, you can't find it. So there we go. And you know, this is so sturdy at this point, and my wire end that I couldn't find, I'm sure it's not ever going to uncoil. And that's it. That's how you make a snowflake.
A double snowflake.
A double snowflake, a shimmering snowflake.
Carmen says very pretty.
Thank you so much, Carmen.
Allie says so pretty, great sparkle, and she sends a starstruck emoji.
Oh, thank you so much.
Karen says it's been far too long since I was able to spend time with you all. We're glad you're here.
Karen, yes. Welcome back. We missed you. So what do you guys think? I always ask the same question. I'm consistent. Was this easy? What do you think? Was this like a really easy project?
Kamar says beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Vanessa says, I joined so late, we'll have to watch the replay. Love these.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, please do rewatch. In fact, as you guys know, we archive all of our videos. So there's one thing that I still have to tell you. So as I mentioned before, with the kit, you will get a picture of exactly what the two pieces look like before you wrap them together. And as far as starting, they're all exactly the same. You always start with the seed beads because, you know, there's not a whole lot of room in the center of the snowflake. So I like starting with the seed beads. And mostly the seed beads are hidden on right underneath the rivolis on both sides. So you can only see maybe 1.5 to 2 seed beads, just the outer seed beads, because the large rivoli covers them up. And so it starts with 4 seed beads on each one for most of the colors. So the colors that are right here in front of me. And again, the colors are, well, actually, no, not vintage gold, but Santa's Sleigh, Caribbean Blue right here, Silver Snow, and Galactic Glacier Blue. What did I miss? Oh, I missed the crystal, the ice crystals. So
and vintage gold.
I know, I'm getting there.
Oh.
Tony's a little anxious. He's jumping ahead. We're getting there.
Karen says, love these, gorgeous.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Fonda says, beautiful.
Thank you so much, Fonda. So just one little thing I need to point out. If you get vintage gold, it's made really, it's exactly the same as far as technique. The only thing that's going to be a little bit different is instead of 4 seed beads on each of the arms, you're only going to have 3 seed beads. And that is because you can see that the rivoli on this one is just a little bit smaller. You guys can see the difference, right? I mean, it's pretty glaring. So there are only 3 seed beads on each of the arms. And when you go to wrap the 2 snowflakes together, instead of going in between the second and the third seed bead, only for the vintage gold, we're going to go in between the first and the second seed bead. So I hope that made sense. And again, you're going to have a picture. So even if you forget everything I just said, you will have a picture with a small, it's almost like a little sunburst in the center. And you will notice that it's a smaller sunburst on the vintage gold snowflake. And that is the entire story, ladies. That's all of it. So what do you think? It's easy, right? We can do it. We're going to make lots of snowflakes this holiday season. And we're just going to give everybody snowflakes. In fact, I'm planning to do that. So, so now that we're done, I have many things to tell you. And I will start with, please join me tomorrow for a special, well, I don't know, is it a holiday? It's not, yeah, it's kind of holiday-ish. And so not only is it the last in the series of the Black Friday videos, you know how we had a couple of Black Friday videos. And so this was going to be our third and final Black Friday video. And something else was born out of it. And we decided to do something a little bit different this year. And actually, our last Black Friday video is also going to be the first video in the series of 12 Days of Christmas. And it'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. So the plan is I'm going to do a video every day for the next 12 days. And it's going to be a shopping event. And some of the shopping events are already set up on the Facebook page. And some are yet to be set up. I'm just playing with my snowflakes as I'm talking.
Lori says these are lovely.
Oh, thank you so much, Lori. Here, I'll be showing you my snowflakes one at a time as I'm chatting with you. So, so this is going to be 12 days of shopping events, but they're not all going to be like my Friday events. In fact, not even close. Because as you know, sometimes our Friday events go for like 2 and 3 hours. And I don't think I could survive that for 12 days. However, I think it will be super fun to do these little events. So my Friday events will still stay somewhat long, but the in-between videos are going to be maybe 20 minutes, half an hour long, because I'm only planning to show 12 items per video. So it'll be interesting. We've never done this before. And I am always looking for your feedback. So I'm going to make 12 videos of mostly 12 items each. There will be just some special assortments or special items at a really special price. So it's all about, some of it is going to be all about the holidays. Some of them are going to be really sparkly. Some of them are going to be about the cabochons or gemstone strands. So each one will have a theme. And again, all but the Friday videos are just going to be 12 items. So they're just going to be short and sweet. And we're going to keep the Friday videos at 9 o'clock, just like we have for the last couple of years. And all of the other videos through, I want to say it's going to be through Christmas Eve, December 24th. Those are going to start at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time because we like to sleep in. So anyway, so we're really looking forward to our 12 days of Christmas, and I hope you guys are too. And please join me tomorrow for the last of the Black Friday videos, also known as the first of the 12 days of Christmas.
Vonda says, so very hard to pick a favorite snowflake.
Oh, thank you. Does anybody have favorites? Let me know if you have favorites. So, I think I don't know. I mean, every time I look at them, I have a different favorite. Although I think I do actually have a favorite, and it is the ice crystal. I don't know, maybe I really love it because it's different from all the other ones, but I just, I keep staring at the ice crystal, but probably a different day, I would have a different favorite.
And Allie says, oh my, can't wait.
Oh, yay! So you think it sounds like fun? So yeah, we've never done this before, and they're just going to be like really short and sweet, and it's almost kind of like a little bit of a way to continue the festivities right into the holidays. And yeah, it'll be fun. And this year, actually, Christmas and Hanukkah, the start of Hanukkah, fall on the same day. So that's a little bit exciting as well. And then I'm also showing you the next Thursday project, which is the interchangeable New Year's Eve necklace. And yes, it is interchangeable. This, you guys, this is pretty snazzy. I have to show you the interchangeable part of this. And I'm talking about Thursday, the 19th of December. And of course, it's going to be at the same time as this video, 7 p.m., not a.m. So 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I can't wait to show this to you. So, and of course, we're kind of done with the specifically Christmas projects. So I'm moving into the New Year's projects, and this is most likely going to be my only colorway for the New Year's necklace, unless of course I'm inspired to do something else by next Thursday, and who knows, sometimes I will surprise myself. But I think this is just so perfect for New Year's and so versatile in a lot of ways. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. So here we go. This little bead, it just sort of goes up like that. And this is a carabiner clasp. You guys saw them. I showed them in one of the videos very recently. And check this out. This is magical. So we can wear just one of the, here, let's do the biggest one. So we can wear just one of the charm, well, I don't know, is it a charm? Is it a charm chain?
Charm dangle.
Charm dangle. So we could just wear it very simply like this, or we could add all three, or you could also make your own alternate charms. You guys, I'm sure all of you have a beautiful bead collection, and just create your own so that they're completely interchangeable. And the top or the chain of the necklace stays the same, but then we are just really able to play with all of our charms, and I'm using a lot of vintage Swarovski in this necklace. So I have a feeling it's going to become a little bit of a classic.
Oh,
well,
Kim R says it's classic like the chandelier and the icicle, but I think that was a reference to something earlier. That just came through now.
Oh, maybe, are you talking about the snowflake?
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one,
Yeah.
this one. I love them all. I created them all. I always say this, they're all my babies. But right now, this baby is just making me so very, very happy.
And
So
Trudy says that's sharp looking.
Oh, thank you so much, Trudy.
Lori says I love this piece.
Thank you so much, Lori. So yeah, all of these, like this piece is actually, it comes from my stash. It was perfect. And I do have an interesting stash. So that's a vintage Swarovski. I mean, that one was probably made in the 50s or 40s. And then, of course, all Swarovski at this point is vintage as far as the bead industry is concerned. And so, anyway, this is what we are making next Thursday.
Fonda's wondering if you'll have that clasp in tomorrow's video.
No, Fonda, I'm so sorry. I will not, because I featured these clasps. In fact, there were quite a few different styles, and I featured them, I want to say, in last Friday's video, right? Yeah, I just featured them. So, but Fonda, the good news is just come on down, and we have them in the store. And you are one of the people who can just, you know, take a little drive. You're so close to the store, and we would love to see you.
They were in the Cyber Monday video, I think.
Oh, Cyber Monday video. Okay, well, I remember that it was just not that long ago that we featured that clasp. We have that clasp in a smaller size. We have a fabulous carabiner like this, but with a moon and a little emerald eye, which I really wanted to use in this way also, but unfortunately it's not usable in the same way because of how the bead is positioned, and it just wouldn't work as an interchangeable piece. But it is also a really cool one, and then there's another one that looks like a little teardrop. So there is a kind of a little menagerie of various shapes of the carabiner clasp.
Althea says pretty.
Thank you so much. Okay, ladies, so I believe I told you about all of the events. We have a lot of videos coming up all the way through Christmas Eve. And and that's not even counting the Thursday videos. We have 12 of the shopping events coming up. The Friday videos are going to continue to be scheduled at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and there are 2 Fridays. And then, of course, all of the other videos, and again, there are 12 of them, and it's like this many plus this many. So 12 videos, and the non-Friday videos are going to start at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So please join me whenever you have a moment at 10 o'clock. We made it fairly consistent. And in the meantime, I hope to see you tomorrow for the shopping event, which I'm hoping none of this is confusing. And again, if you forget everything I just said, all you have to do is just go to the event page and you will find it all. So you literally don't have to remember a word.
Vanessa says, oh, Fonda, the advantage you have of being so close.
Yay, I know. And I think...
Fonda says, I'm literally 3 minutes away.
Yes, I think you enjoy being 3 minutes away from Eclectica.
Laurie says, thank you for the live tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Laurie. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Allie says, woohoo.
Woohoo! Yay!
And Karen says, thank you for an inspiring project.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, everyone, for your lovely comments. And I hope to see you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, have a wonderful and creative evening.